a lot of people are not very happy with the sausage curbs because at that corner, obviously Max, as he tries to hold his position going into the left-hander, ends up going over the sausage curbs, and the car is kind of unsettled at first and has a bit of a bounce, and then as it is in that kind of sort of oscillation, if you like,
Yes.
he then sort of comes into contact with the rear wheel, and it does look like a combination of that contact with the wheel and the bumping of the curbs and the kind of lifting of the car seems to exacerbate that effect and then lift Max's car over the Mercedes. There does seem to be a lot of people not very happy with the sausage curbs in general. Would you see sausage curbs removed from a corner like that? And if so, what would they be replaced with?
I wouldn't see them removed because the idea is that you don't drive over them. They're a deterrent. And so many cars this weekend managed to avoid that sausage curb by avoiding that corner. If they go too deep into that corner, if they're not going to make that corner because they're side by side with a competitor or they're being squeezed by a competitor, they cut the corner. They go on they rejoin safely and they continue with the race and they live to fight another day. Got slightly smaller curbs in turn 4, but they still bounce the car a little bit. It's a deterrent. It's there to stop the cars from taking the liberty of cutting the corner. So don't cut the corner is my answer.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree because even if they do back out and go across, there's like a sort of what looks like a bit of spare track going between the two parts of the corners, where if you back out, you go across that bit. You still have to bounce across the curbs as a sort of punishment for not making the corner.
And you can't fly over them. The whole idea is if people miss the corner, you can't just put your foot down and rejoin at more speed than actually it would be if you took the corner the correct way. You have to slow down, otherwise you're going to damage your car. And that's what they're designed to do. So it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances where, like you said, the oscillation of Max's car coming off that curb and then hitting the forward spinning rear wheel of Hamilton's car just pushed Max's car into the air and gave it that height. It was a very special set of circumstances which caused this incident. But the incident shouldn't have happened, if you ask me. There was ways out.
The sausage curbs thing is interesting, and people have talked about sausage curbs before. I remember the Singapore Sling, which was not very popular with a lot of the engineers because the drivers would try and find a way to kind of negotiate it without avoiding it completely, and it would always end up with loads of damaged floors and people ending up in the wall. And it's a difficult one. I'd be interested to know any possible alternatives to that because, like you say, there has to be some kind of deterrent to stop people from just blowing through it. And even if they do, even if they end up in a position where they've got to give positions back or the like, there's still something to be gained there by potentially doing that. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I'm not quite sure how I feel exactly about the sausage curb things. I'll have to have a little read about it or something. But yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree that the fact that he got onto the sausage curbs at all was not just because the sausage curbs were there, but rather because he elected to try and hold that line and thus ended up on the curbs, which I think brings us to the incident proper.